This shit was far too long. I felt every single damn hour of this show. At what point does Impact decide to cut their Impact Plus specials down to a healthy 2 hours and spares matches that go so damn long without being interesting enough to pull off? That's not to say that Impact hasn't in the past, though. This year's Genesis and No Surrender events were actually okay, but even those shows would have benefited from cutting an hour. Even WWE and New Japan aren't putting on 3 hour shows like they used to, and they're a lot better off for it. On Sacrifice 2021, we got a lot of matches meant to advance storylines that I feel as if I should have enjoyed a lot more than I actually did. See VBD versus James Storm and Chris Sabin as one example. And that I felt weren't all that interesting at all despite having stipulations at their matches, like Eddie Edwards versus Kurt Hawkins with their Hold Harmless match that, while it wasn't bad, was just fine at best and at worst forgettable. And by the way, for as much as I wish I enjoyed his work more than I did, and for how much they're pushing him on the show, Kurt Hawkins does absolutely nothing for me. I was just about done with this guy as soon as his character outside of WWE turned out to be yet another disgruntled former WWE employee, with now one of his signature moves being named the roster cut. Get it? Hopefully, wherever they're going with the guy reaches the same level of mediocrity as his Raw Tag Team Championship win on the WrestleMania pre-show, because at least him having the longest losing streak of all time had a better chance of me taking him seriously than him trying to take himself seriously. And hey, the guy has plenty of time to prove me wrong. I want him to. Beyond that, the worst matches on this show came in the form of 2 tag team matches. The first being Tennille Dashwood and Caleb taking on Havoc and Nevaeh, which wasn't noteworthy in any way and really not all that impressive to watch either from both an in-ring perspective and one out of the ring, as their characters aren't all that interesting to watch. Finn Juice and the Good Brothers fighting for the Impact Tag Team Championships was a match that was already coming at the end of a very long show of 2 hours, only 2 hours in of 3 in total. And damn, is the Good Brothers just television repellent for me. Watching Luke Gallows attempt to wrestle just makes me wonder what the hell New Japan ever saw in him beyond his size. The man is critically boring in the ring and just isn't a guy, much like Kurt Hawkins, to be taken seriously. Quite possibly the best iterations of Luke Gallows as a pro wrestler were when he was either Festus or being completely ridiculous on that first Talkin' Shop-A-Mania show. But even then, on the sequel episode of Talkin' Shop-A-Mania, we got more of the unbearable side of his shtick, his comedy shtick in particular, so who the hell knows what this man's strengths are. Enzo Amore once called Carl Anderson the human equivalent of Times New Roman font, which honestly sums him up character-wise better than I've heard anyone do before. Finn Juice leaving the match with the tag titles only gives me hope for whoever's next in the tag team match that they'll be fighting in next. I might be in for anything but the Good Brothers at this point. Outside of an impressive Knockouts Tag Team Championship match between Fire and Flava, Jordan Grace and Jazz, considering how underwhelming Tasha Steelz has been as a performer as long as she's been in the wrestling business, the only good match on the show, one of which at one point reached the heights of even excellence, came in the main event between Rich Swann and Moose to unify their respective world championships. Moments like Moose diving into a cutter from Rich Swann, and Moose leaping onto the top rope, snatching up Rich Swann, and delivering a fallaway slam were enough for me to believe that their match had the potential to be a company classic. But that really wasn't meant to be with how the match ended in a roll-up pin, a finish that's been done to death already by WWE, so much so that it's just a deflating way to end such a long match these days, in any company. The other good match on this show was the X Division Championship match between Ace Austin and TJP, and can I just say how nice it is to not see Rohit Raju anywhere near the title picture on this show? This match, while nowhere near as quality a match as some X Division matches from earlier this year alone, seeing how as the Triple Threat Revolver match was as painfully close to perfect as it was, thankfully wasn't anywhere as close to dull as Rohit Raju's reign with the title overall. Ace Austin and TJP were two guys in the X Division that could pull off far better matches if maybe given the time to do so, and here it's almost as if we only got a sample of what they could do together. Just about everything else on the show is forgettable though, even for as much praise as I have for Deonna Purrazzo. quickly becoming one of Impact's most essential players and being as damn impressive as she has been since stepping foot into the promotion, her match with ODB, while great in parts, wasn't great overall. I will admit though, ODB is deceptively well rounded in the ring. Well, at least she is when she's working with talents like Diana, who move which can make just about anyone look like a credible performer in the ring. The opening match with Reno, Scum, and Decay was as forgettable as ever, and that just about covers Sacrifice 2021 coming from me. Not a bad show, but not even as alright as their special events from earlier this year. Sacrifice 2021 was pretty mid overall.